This veteran thought no one would recognize him after being injured in combat. But then a young SEAL spotted the tattoo and couldn't move. The young SEAL couldn't believe his eyes. He looked at the tattoo on the old man's arm and said, "Holy Mother of God, I know who you are." The old man had tried to hide his identity, but it was clear that someone had recognized him. When they did, they were stunned by what they saw. What had happened to this poor guy? Let's take a look back at how he ended up like this. It all started when a group of Navy SEALs went on a mission in Iraq. They were told to infiltrate an enemy base and retrieve some intel. This was a dangerous mission, but the SEALs were up for the task. One of the SEALs was a veteran who had been on many missions before. He was a skilled fighter and everyone on the team respected him. He had a tattoo of a skull on his arm, which was how everyone on the team knew him. He had been shot in the arm during a previous mission, and the tattoo was now faded and barely visible. He tried to cover it up with long sleeves, but it was still there if you looked hard enough. The mission was going well until suddenly they were ambushed. The SEALs were outnumbered and outgunned, but they fought bravely. The veteran SEAL was hit by an RPG, and he fell to the ground. He could feel the blood flowing down his arm, but he had to keep moving. He helped the other SEALs escape while he provided cover fire. He knew that he might not make it, but he didn't care. He was willing to sacrifice himself to save the others. When the dust settled, the other SEALs regrouped. They were sad to see that the veteran SEAL had been killed, but they knew that he had died a hero. They brought his body back home, and he was given a proper burial. His family and friends were proud of him, and they knew that he had lived a life of service. But something strange was happening. People were starting to forget about the veteran SEAL. His name was being erased from history, and no one was talking about him anymore. This made his family and friends angry. They didn't want their loved ones to be forgotten, so they decided to do something about it. They reached out to the media and told them about the veteran SEAL and his heroic actions. They wanted the world to know who he was and what he had done. The media was interested in the story, and soon articles and TV shows were being made about the veteran SEAL. People finally started to remember him again, and his name was cleared. But there was one person who didn't want the veteran SEAL to be remembered. It was the person who had given him the tattoo. The tattoo artist had been paid by the enemy to make sure that the veteran SEAL stood out. He had used a special ink that was designed to last forever. And no matter how much the veteran SEAL tried to cover it up, the tattoo always showed through. The tattoo artist was ashamed of what he had done, and he wanted to make amends. He reached out to the family of the veteran SEAL and offered to give them a new tattoo. This time it would be a tattoo of the American flag, and it would cover up the old tattoo. The family of the veteran SEAL agreed, and the tattoo artist got to work. When he was done, the family of the veteran SEAL was in awe. The new tattoo was beautiful, and it covered up the old tattoo perfectly. The family thanked the tattoo artist for his hard work and for helping to honor the memory of their loved one. But there was one person who was still angry. It was the veteran SEAL. He had been through so much, and he didn't think that anything good could ever happen to him again. He felt like the world had forgotten about him, and he didn't want to be reminded of it. When he saw the new tattoo, he was angry. He felt like the tattoo artist was mocking him, and he wasn't having it. He confronted the tattoo artist and told him that he didn't want the tattoo. He wanted to keep his old one. The tattoo artist was shocked. He could not believe that the veteran SEAL would want to keep the tattoo that had caused him so much pain. He tried to talk the veteran SEAL out of it, but he wouldn't listen. The veteran SEAL was adamant that he wanted to keep his old tattoo. The tattoo artist sighed and gave up. He knew that he couldn't force the veteran SEAL to get rid of the tattoo, so he just had to respect his wishes. The veteran SEAL was happy that he had won. He felt like he was finally in control of his own destiny. He was done being a victim, and he was ready to move on with his life. But he didn't realize that there was someone else who was watching him, someone who had a score to settle. It was the person who had given the order to kill the veteran SEAL. He had been watching from afar, and he was getting ready to make his move. He knew that the veteran SEAL was strong, but he also knew that he was alone. The veteran SEAL didn't know that he was being watched, though. He was just trying to live his life and do some good. He started volunteering at a local charity, and he even started dating someone. For the first time in a long time, the veteran SEAL was happy. He felt like he was finally getting his life back on track. But then the person who had given the order to kill him made his move. He hired a team of assassins to take out the veteran SEAL. They followed him, They spied on him, and they waited for their chance to strike. The veteran SEAL was still unaware of the danger that he was in. He was too busy trying to help others and make up for the time he had lost. But one day the assassins made their move. They attacked the veteran SEAL, and he barely managed to escape. He knew that he couldn't hide forever, so he decided to fight back. He took the assassins to their graves, and then he disappeared. He knew that he couldn't stay in one place for too long, so he started traveling. He went all over the country, helping people and staying on the run from the bad guys. The veteran SEAL was tired of running. He had been on the move for so long that he had forgotten what it was like to stay in one place. He longed for a home and a family, but he knew that he couldn't have that. Not while the person who had given the order to kill him was still alive. The veteran SEAL was walking through the mall when he heard a commotion. He turned to see what was going on and saw a group of people gathered around a young SEAL who was in trouble. The veteran SEAL knew that he had to help, so he stepped in. He broke up the fight and helped the young SEAL get away. The veteran SEAL was surprised by the reaction of the people around him. They cheered and applauded him, but he just shrugged it off. He had done what he thought was right, and that was all that mattered. But little did he know that this simple act of kindness would change his life forever. As the veteran SEAL walked away from the crowd, he heard someone calling his name. He turned to see who it was, and his heart skipped a beat. It was the young SEAL he had just saved, who was running towards him out of breath. "Wait," the young SEAL said. "I need your help." The veteran SEAL was confused, but he agreed to help the young SEAL. They went to a secluded area of the mall, and the young SEAL explained his problem. He was in trouble with some bad people, and he needed the veteran SEAL's help to protect him. The veteran SEAL was reluctant at first, but he eventually agreed. He knew that he couldn't let the young SEAL down. As they were talking, the young SEAL noticed the veteran SEAL's tattoo. His eyes widened in recognition. "Holy Mother of God, I know who you are." The veteran SEAL was shocked. He had tried so hard to hide his identity, but it was clear that someone had recognized him. And when they did, they were stunned by what they saw. The young SEAL looked at the old man's arm and said, "You're the legendary SEAL 6, aren't you?" The veteran SEAL was stunned. How did this young SEAL know who he was? Was he really that famous? SEAL 6 had been a top-secret mission, and he had never heard of anyone leaking information. The veteran SEAL sighed. "Yes, I am SEAL 6. But how did you recognize me?" "I thought I had done a good job covering up." The young SEAL shook his head. "No way, man. That tattoo is iconic. I've seen pictures of you all over the base. You're a legend, sir." The veteran SEAL was moved by the respect that the young SEAL had for him. He had been out of the game for so long that he had forgotten what it was like to be respected. He smiled and said, "Thanks, son. I haven't heard that in a long time." The young SEAL looked at the old SEAL's tattoo and asked, "How did you get that thing on your arm? What does it mean?" The veteran SEAL looked down at his tattoo and sighed. "It's nothing, son. It's just a reminder of my past." The young SEAL looked at the old SEAL with admiration. "Wow, you're a real-life legend, sir. Hope to be just like you one day." The veteran SEAL smiled and said, "Thanks, son. Just do your best and you'll be successful." And with that, the two SEALs parted ways. The young SEAL went back to his mission, and the veteran SEAL continued to walk the earth, helping those in need and hiding from his past.
Oh.
Now, do you understand why the young SEAL couldn't believe his eyes? If you liked this video, please leave a comment below to let us know what you thought of it. Thank you for watching.